Hello everyone, Carol here from Cool Wool, and in today's tutorial we're looking at Fair Isle again, but this time I'm looking at what to do if you have long floats across the back of your work. What do I mean by that? Well, if you have a look here, you can see that this row here across the work in beige is quite a long section, and then it goes into blue on either side. Well, what that means is on the back there's a strand of blue starting there and ending there. And if you were to leave it as a long strand like that, not only would it affect your tension, but you'd get your fingers caught in it quite a bit. So on situations like that, it's a great idea to trap that blue float. And in fact, I've trapped it twice going along that long section there. And if I just try and show you on the other side for now, before we look at how you actually do that, can you see here, here is half of our blue float, and here's another part of the blue float. And in between, you can see two areas there where I've trapped it with the beige yarn as I've worked along that row. Let's see how we do that. And as discussed on the first video that I did, I keep one yarn on the right hand side, which is my main yarn. In here, that's blue. And one on the left hand side, which is orange. I'm using a lovely sort of tweed effect yarn this time because I think that works really well with Fair Isle. And what I've got here is a simple pattern. I've just started it off, and I'll show you what I've done. Is the first 4 rows, the main colour is the blue with a little bit of orange, and that goes up like that along a slope as we get further up. And then another long bit of blue and a slope of orange. Now in that long section of blue there, I have trapped the orange on each row as you go up. Then the second part of it, I've decided to change colours. So I'm now working the main section in orange and the small slope section in blue. And so on every orange section, I've trapped blue yarn. If we just have a look at the back before I show you how to do it, you can see that all the yarns are still lying nice and flat, as they should be. The only sign you can see of the traps, the trapping of the floats, are these little sort of V's that you can see now and again, there and there. There's some more there. They're a bit harder to see down here in the blue, but they're quite distinct. Okay, so let's have a look at how we do that. So what I need to do is trap the floats of the orange behind the work as I'm working the long blue sections. Now this blue section here is going to start with 7 stitches, and then I'm going to do 2 oranges because I'm moving them along as we go. So 7 blues to start with. In my right hand I've got the blue, and in my left hand I've got the orange. Now you don't have to have them in each hand, but you do need to trap them in a consistent way as you go. I'm going to do 3 blues for the pattern. And then because I've got to do a total of 7 blues, in the next stitch I'm actually going to trap the orange behind it because it's sort of halfway along the 7, if you like. How you do it on the right side here, put your needle into the stitch as normal, just pick your contrast yarn up and pop it over that needle, knit in the normal way, and then pop your yarn back, your contrast yarn. So it's being trapped there. What we now do is another blue stitch, which also traps it on the other side there. So we've got it trapped in 2 places. So that's 5 stitches, 6, 7, and now we do 2 orange. And I'm picking them up in the continental way from my left hand. Let's try that again then. Back to the blue. So again, remember to leave a bit of space here. 1, 2, 3, into the next stitch, bring the contrast yarn, just lay it across that needle and knit that as normal, and then you can unlay it if you like to make that stitch, and then finally trap it on the other half. Okay, so let's do that one more time. We've got 2 oranges first, and then we've got our 7 blues, or however many we've got left. 1, 2, 3, and trap the orange, beg your pardon, make the blue stitch and unloop the orange, and then finally trap it there. Okay, so that's our first row, and we've trapped the contrast yarn as we've been working the main colour yarn. Now let's go back the other way, and each time you can see I'm moving these 2 stitches along by 1, so I'm going to do that again now. So the orange will start there, my yarns are at the front, so the blues first, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't actually need to trap the orange in that. 5 is okay in my opinion, but you could do if you wanted to. So now I'm going to get my orange and do my 2 oranges. 1, spread that out. That got a little bit tight there, so spread it out. 2. Now I'm doing my blues again, so I'm going to trap halfway along. 1, 2, 3, and it's quite similar. You just lift the contrast yarn over the top there, make your stitch in blue, take it back through, and the contrast yarn drops down to the front quite naturally. And then the next stitch traps it the other side as well. So you can actually see that clearly on that side. It's a bit easier to see. So that's 5 blues, 6, 7, picking up from underneath as we do with the contrast yarn. 1, 2, back to our blues. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to trap, bring it up, make your stitch in blue, take it through and drop the contrast, and then finally trap it there. 6, 7, and in this case the last one is in orange. So there we have the second row with the contrast yarn trapped. Now we're going to move on to the orange section where the orange is the main colour. So same pattern, gives these sort of diamond shapes here and these slopes. Same pattern, but I'm using the orange as the main colour. Now you know from my last video that I say you should always keep your yarns in the same place, and we are going to do that still. Blue is on the right and orange is on the left. Twisted my yarns, I'm ready to go. So we're swapping the colours, which means my first 2 in this instance are going to be orange. You'll see the pattern emerging in a minute. So let's do those. And then 2 blue, because that now forms the slope. And now 7 orange. Now this is where I've got to trap this colour as I'm working the orange. This is your main yarn. So we're trapping our main yarn when we're working our contrast yarn now, which is the opposite way to what we did before. So 1, 2, 3, and again I'm going to trap it on the 4th stitch, and it's a little bit different trapping this yarn, because the easiest way to do this is to actually go as if to knit but don't knit with the blue, go as if to knit with the orange but don't knit, and now just unwrap that blue. See, we've now got our orange stitch trapped by the blue. Pull it through and we're done. 5, 6, 7 in orange, 2 in blue. Let's try that one more time. So do our first 3 in orange as normal, then we're going to do this trapping. So in there, as if to knit with the blue, as if to knit with the orange, unwrap the blue, pull the orange through. 5, 6, 7, 2 blues, and finish with 2 orange. There we go. I quite like this pattern actually. It was just sort of made up. The first one will be an orange, then 2 blues, yep, and then 7 oranges. So the first one is an orange, which comes from underneath because it's the contrast. There's my orange. Now my 2 blues, 1, 2, and 7 oranges, and again we're going to trap on the 4th. 1, 2, 3. Now we do it on the 4th. Now when you're doing the purl row, you have to think a little bit harder, although you do get used to it, because if you wrap this stitch the wrong way, it won't actually work. So what you have to do is you go into the stitch as if to purl. You take your blue, which you're trying to trap, and you work it as a purl but backwards. I suppose it's more like a knit really, but you don't work it, you just wrap it round and leave it there. You work your orange as if to purl normally, but leave it there. Unwrap your blue, and then your orange goes through, and again you can see the blue's been trapped underneath that orange. I'll show you that again in a minute. Takes a bit to get your head around that one. But all of this is so that your yarns stay in the same place. You get nice smooth lines across the back, as we talked about before, and you don't have to let go of your yarns. And some people say, does it need to be that complicated? Well, it doesn't really need to be that complicated. You can drop the yarns and wrap them yourselves, but then I'm trying to understand the benefit of being able to hold on to your yarns because you don't lose your tension, which all helps to get a nice finish. So that was my last wrap there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My 2 blues. Spread that out slightly. And my oranges again. 1, 2, 3. And again, I'm going to recommend that we trap the blue this time right near the end, because otherwise it's going to be left right up here and it's going to pull your work. So knit ways, purl ways, undo and through. That's Fair Isle with trapping your floats in 4 different ways. So trapping your contrast colour on the right side and the wrong side are the first 2 ways, and then trapping your main colour on the right side and the wrong side are the last 2 ways. So I hope that's been helpful, and I'll see you again soon. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thanks very much, everyone. Bye.